And now, finally, a review for Godzilla Rulers of Earth! I will get to that, but really quick I want to touch on something else. To me, few things exemplify the spirit of the 1990s more than the American-based Godzilla toys from Trendmasters. Look at these guys' wacky designs. They fit right into the decade where everything had to be extreme! Many of the Godzilla Trendmasters toys came with these collector cards, but some of the really big toys came with a comic book. This mini comic is called Godzilla King of the Monsters, Monster Island Unleashed! And it's got that American officially licensed Godzilla product seal for you. This is coming to you from Trendmasters Comics, and as you can see, it was approved by all the cool people at Trendmasters. This mini comic is copyrighted 1994, and it actually does have some interesting trivia. Unless you count the Godzilla vs. Megalon movie comic that I reviewed a while back, this comic is the first Godzilla comic book to feature other licensed Toho monsters, over a decade before IDW would start doing it. The story of Monster Island Unleashed is credited to Brian Weinstock, with pencils and inks by Butch Bergsham, lettering and color by Joe McGowan, and computer graphics by Frank Lutz. I actually have this comic in two versions. One is black and white, and one is fully color. As beautiful and vibrant as the color version is, my copy has a really nice tight spine, so I didn't want to flatten it to scan all the pages. That means today we're going to be looking at the black and white version, the much more common one. At a glance, yeah, this art is pretty cool. Very detailed, well-drawn kaiju, cover-to-cover action, and not even a bad plot. We've got an evil corporation called Genko, headed by a guy that looks suspiciously like Lex Luthor. Somehow Genko has a Godzilla egg in New York City. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Trendmasters loved to use New York City as the backdrop for their toys. So the evil Genko people are harvesting DNA on Monster Island to combine with their Godzilla egg and create an ultimate bioweapon. But unfortunately for them, Godzilla emerges, along with Rodan and Mothra. Godzilla senses his egg is in danger, so he's on his way to New York. Lex Luthor, not Lex Luthor, orders that they defend themselves from Godzilla with Mecha Godzilla and Mecha Ghidorah. And it's interesting that they call him Mecha Ghidorah and not Mecha King Ghidorah. Look at that, we even get a Skreonk in here. The next few pages are just beautiful eye candy of Godzilla and his friends fighting off this army. And that's when Mecha King Ghidorah shows up. I can't say this enough. Americans didn't have the opportunity to see Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah for many years after it came out. So these Trendmaster toys and this comic appearance could be an American's first exposure to this cyborg version of King Ghidorah. And credit to Trendmasters, they even use his weapons accurately. Probably because of Toho's supervision. Also, I love that this team is called Godzilla Force instead of the abbreviated G-Force. Mechagodzilla erupts, and him and Mecha King Ghidorah tag team Godzilla, and it looks like they might even beat him. Godzilla Force reporting, situation under control. Not! Oh my god, for you kiddies, I have to tell you that that was the dumbest comeback in the 90s. You just say something sarcastically, and then you throw in a not. I can't even claim innocence, I did it myself. But to see it here in this otherwise really decent Godzilla comic really dates the story. Godzilla grabs Mechagodzilla and smashes him into Mecha King Ghidorah so hard that they both just crumble apart. Then for good measure, Godzilla goes and bitch slaps the Genko building. He reaches in and he may or may not kill this Lex Luthor character. It's safe to say he does. He grabs his egg, blows up the rest of the building, then him and his buddies head back home. The horrible bioweapons of Genko will not be built this day. The egg will be taken home and the delicate balance of nature is restored once again by Godzilla, King of the Monsters. And there really is a nice theme in here about the balance of nature and that balance being upset by greedy corporations. At 16 pages, I mean it, this comic is not bad by any means. It's actually pretty good. The last page has the bios for the monsters that are featured in the comic book. And once again, I have to remind you that at this point, people reading this comic in America have probably not seen Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. So some of these bios don't make much sense without the context, mainly Ghidorah's. Engineered by the Earth Union Organization in the year 2204 as a bioweapon with which to destroy Japan, 3 Dorats were sent back in time to the— What is a Dorat? Fuck! I also have to credit Trendmasters for resisting the urge to put an ad for other toys in the comic book. They could have easily just have had an advert on the back cover instead of these monster bios. Anyway, there's not much more to say about Monster Island Unleashed. If you have a chance to read it online, I suggest you do.
4 stars!
I dog on Trendmasters a lot because they've made some weird choices and they've cut some weird corners. But when it comes to this comic, they actually put out something of quality, so I commend them for that. If you have any thoughts about Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Monster Island Unleashed, or Trendmasters in general, feel free to talk about it in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video, which was not an April Fool's joke, and I hope you enjoyed the videos that were April Fool's jokes. Stay tuned because the review for Godzilla Rulers of Earth is coming tomorrow. Not! This video was sponsored in part by these patrons, including Irving Jimenez Begito. Find Monster Island Buddies on Patreon if you'd like to support the channel as well.